entire month, which was wonderful. Thank you. So Anthony Kilmer came, and Anthony Kilmer, when he came, Lieutenant Anthony Kilmer, when he came here in June, there was some love connection between him and this neighborhood somehow, some way. So he asked if he could kind of just be more involved with this area, and with all the emails from Randall that I was getting, I was like, absolutely, thank you. So he kind of designated himself like, and we've been doing this throughout the division, and it really helps me out, and it kind of helps the neighborhoods out to where if there's a neighborhood that really, you know, would like or needs some extra attention, the lieutenant is kind of assigned to liaise with them. Um, it's too much for me to spread myself between 40 different neighborhoods. So they update me every couple of weeks on what's going on, and I know Lieutenant Kilmer has done a fantastic job. One good thing that comes out of it, and it was something that he explained, was, when you really dedicate yourself to just one or a couple areas, it just really promotes some ownership over the area. And I was really happy to hear him say that. And, I'm sharing it with you because it's an awesome thing for, him, who's kind of more or less collaterally assigned to you guys, to feel that way. So for him, it's not, and he's a real passionate guy anyway. So it's not just a job to kind of look out for you guys with that little extra bit of care, but it's really kind of a passion for him. So yeah, he's great. And to be honest, and I'm going to read some stats off, and it really kind of emphasizes not just the proactivity, but him being there and just him being here in the neighborhood. So um, hopefully he's watching. If not, I'll shoot him a text that he's really appreciated, not just by you, but me as well. So because it's been so long since I have been here, March, and it's quarterly. Gosh, a lot of these neighborhood associations are monthly. Quarterly is a good while, but I wanted to pull some information that goes back from the start of summer. And I'm on this kick. I was telling Casey, I'm on this kick of comparing stats, last year versus this year, last summer versus this summer. So I pulled for this summer, June 1st through today, and then last year, June 1st until September 18th. So I'll read those off, and then I have a couple other little numbers, nuggets that I want to throw out there. So I pull homicides, sexual assaults, aggravated assaults, robberies, burglaries, and accidents with injuries. There are way more crimes than that, but these are the crimes that we use mostly to gauge how dangerous an area is, because, the big violent category crimes, and then those non-violent ones that are very intrusive and very concerning for people, like burglaries. So homicides for this year, from June 1st to June 20 or September 18th, 0, obviously. Sexual assault, 0. Aggravated assault, keep in mind this is this year. 3. 1 was a domestic violence. 2 were just aggravated assaults. They happened at 2 different residences. All suspects in all those cases were arrested. 0 robberies, 1 commercial burglary, which was at the school, 1 residential burglary, and 2 vehicle burglaries. 0 accidents with injuries. To be honest, I don't think there were any accidents. I think there might have been 1 accident with no injuries within the boundaries of this neighborhood. So from the same time period the year before, 0 homicides, 0 sexual assaults, 3 aggravated assaults, 1 was DV, 1 was elder abuse, and a complaint was filed on the ag assault. So somebody went to jail for that. I remember seeing that the elder abuse case was still open, which is unusual after a year. So 0 robberies, burglaries, 3 commercial, all of them were at the shopping center, 1 residential, and 5 vehicular burglaries, vehicle burglaries, no accidents. So focus on the vehicles real quick. 5 vehicular burglaries versus 2 this year. 1 residential versus 1 residential last year. And then 3 commercial burglaries versus 1 commercial burglary this year. So usually when you see an increase or decrease in crime, we hope that that's attributed to proactive police activity. And when I came here and I'm getting the emails, and I'm joking around with Randall, but the squeaky wheel gets the grease, right? So, when I'm getting a lot of concerns thrown my way, you start to think, okay, it's not just one person, it's multiple people, it's a lot of people, and it's a lot of it is about the same thing. So maybe there's something to it. The data really didn't reflect it, because a lot of it was gang presence and graffiti, which weren't being reported via, like a police report. So I couldn't track the data, but there are a lot of community concerns coming out of the area. And I'll be honest, this is probably my first project area when I became a captain, so I probably did a little overkill with it. And you'll see how I did that. So proactive policing events. It's just a proven method that proactive policing reduces crime. And that's my big thing. That's just, I'm not big on the whole going to events and having selfies and stuff like that. I'm really more focused on crime reduction. I feel that that's why the police are here. I'm really not here for any other reason, to be honest, except for to make things safer. It's just, I get there's different roles for captains, and we have to be out there and see them. But I've always been a cop, and it's not going to stop just because I'm a captain. So proactive policing events means cops are in your area, and they're doing things without being called. They're being proactive about it, and they're addressing concerns just because they know that they're there, and they're not going to wait for themselves to be called and dispatched here. So just a little comparison. That time period, June 1st to September 18th of 2024, there were 102 proactive policing events in this neighborhood for that, 3.5 months, which is actually pretty good still. This summer, there were 262, which means 262 times the cops came here without being called just because they knew there were some community concerns going on. So you want to look at like the reduction in burglaries. I mean, a deterrent is seeing cops in the neighborhood, right? And I think you probably have all seen more cops here, the last 6 months or 5 months or so than you have months prior. One thing, when I had my analyst pull these numbers, she goes, I thought this was kind of a cool little note, something to note. She goes, along with the proactive policing events, CPFs, community policing foot patrols, specifically at Los Paseos Park. She goes, last year, for this time period, there were 13. This year, there were 99, which is pretty good. The data doesn't really justify all that deployment, to be honest. I guess I went overkill a little bit, but I was really impressed by the numbers, and I'm glad that I hope that probably likely attributed to the reduction in burglaries. To be honest, all these other crimes, there's not a whole lot the police department could do about reducing them. Domestic violence, these aggravated assaults that are happening in like residences. I mean, you're talking, go ahead, Greg. Community policing foot patrols. So basically, an officer will show up, tell the dispatcher, show me out on a CPF at Los Paseos Park. And they're going to spotlight the park as they drive through, or they're going to walk through the park. And the idea is because there was so much graffiti and so many little wannabe gangsters hanging out at this park, we want to make sure that they know that this is not your park, this is ours. Right? So ours meaning ours. So that's the whole idea behind that. Before Greg interrupted me, I had some other point I was making. Thanks, Greg. Now I forgot it'll come back to me. So here was another part of the deployment plan or model that I had for this. And again, I went a little crazy with this because it was my first project neighborhood and I really wanted to go big. So there was a night when Ramick Park and Los Paseos Park got hit with graffiti, and it was everywhere. There was no bench, no piece of concrete, no wall, it was just tagged up. You guys remember that? Somebody made a video of it, and the video was great. Was it you who made the video, Randall? Somebody made that video. It had it fit with music and everything, but I showed that video in a staff meeting. I mean, it was pretty attention grabbing. So here's a tactic that we do when there's like a slew of gang drive-bys or stabbings or shootings or something like that. I basically applied the same methodology to the increase in graffiti, which kind of, for me, culminated with that huge night of tagging. So it was a specific gang that is not local here. It's local to South San Jose, but it's more a little bit west. It concerned me because I spent 6 years out of the last 19 years working gangs. So I know that they are not local to your neighborhood. This has never been a gang neighborhood. So all the tagging was a little surprising, but that particular crew was kind of surprising and concerning for me to be here. So I put a request into our special operations division, particularly the gang unit, to put a list together of the youngsters and the oldsters who are on probation and parole and go pay them a visit. The youngsters are the ones that are likely doing the graffiti. The old guys old. They're probably like 25, but you know, they're the ones that call the shots, right? So they had a message to deliver from me, which was the specific parks have seen an increase in graffiti, and we're just following logic because it's tagged with this gang's name. You are a part of this gang. We don't want that there at the park. So the more that shows up at the park, the more you will see us. And it wasn't just proactive like searches in their homes or things like that. They were driving around in their neighborhoods looking for them, finding them, contacting them, and making sure that that message was sent. Um, I of all the photos that I'm sent, I don't see a whole lot of van tagging anymore. So it's a proven method, and it was effective here. There's a flip side to this. There's another little crew that's a little wannabe crew they're trying to take over for their uncles and dads. Um, there's going to be a part two to this. I'm not going to tell you what it is because I don't want to like compromise, the operation or whatever. But it'll be a little bit lower level because they're a little bit poo butt lower people or kids that are doing this, but they do live in the neighborhood. So I'll report a little bit more on that when we're done with them. I'll leave it there. No, my hope is that you'll see less tagging from a specific group. Mhm. So, no, I think it's more like middle school, early high school. So, and I know there's been some recruiting going on. I even the superintendent for Morgan Hill Unified, because I think that's Morton Murphy falls under that, right? Same concern. They're having an issue between Sobrato High School and here. Summer, we got a little bit of break from some of this stuff, but now that school is back, which is odd, school is back, so now things get a little bit, more active when it comes to stuff like that. So in any case, the proactivity, it's not going to stop. We just kind of beat the trees to death in this area with all the proactive policing. I need to start sending some resources elsewhere. The great thing about it, and I was talking to the chief about this very recently, was when you see these numbers, and it really didn't take a whole lot from me to keep them going on it. One, cops like making arrests. And so when they're coming to the park here, it's like fishing. You're fishing in this fishing hole, and when the hole goes dry, you move on to another spot. They got really excited because your concerns that came out were very legitimate, and that was corroborated or validated by the fact that when the officers are over here doing proactive police work, they're contacting these little gangsters and they're taking guns off of them. They're finding out that they're on probation for doing something before, so they'll take them back to their house and they'll do a search on their house and they'll find a gun in their house or other weapons or gang indicia. So for a neighborhood that has literally almost no violence at all, the arrests that we've taken out of here, it encourages these cops to keep showing up because they want to keep taking bad guys to jail. So it's been fruitful as far as taking guns off the street and holding people accountable for it. Again, this has never been a violent neighborhood. It's never been a gang neighborhood. We had a weird little trend going on. It was addressed. I didn't want to take my foot off the gas, especially for summer. I started seeing the numbers decline even before summer, but I wanted to keep going through summer because my fear was that it would pick up because those are our busy months. It just never picked up. It didn't pick up because we have 200 and something proactive policing events versus like a handful of incidents. So in any case, the plan worked. It's working. It's not done yet, but it's coming to a close. You might see fewer cops in the neighborhood, but not by a whole lot because they've just taken that ownership and they're kind of partial to patrolling your neighborhood and your streets and your parks. So I don't even have to tell them anything anymore. They're just going to keep doing it on their own. So that's exactly what I want. It was a byproduct of the plan. I'm glad it worked out that way. And I'm using this neighborhood as a model for other areas with bigger problems because I want other neighborhoods to be as safe as your guys's. So, any case, I'll take questions. I talk way too much anyways, but I'll try to keep the answers short and concise.
Comment. One, commend you on doing the drive-bys or late night, go through. I'd like to encourage you to keep that going because you said 99 is pretty high. I think that's a good number that you can maybe go higher.
Well, that was last year. It was like 200 and something this year.
Because it's helped, one, create it safer at nighttime. It's also kept people from moving in and trying to set up camp. So I like that. And, you know, one, thanks for doing that. It just makes it feel a lot safer when you're just walking through it in the evening times or first thing in the morning. So
I'm glad to hear that. And like I said, when I started this, I that's why I got into the business. I didn't, you know, I'm not running for mayor or for council or something like that. Like I love being a cop when I was actually a cop, and you know, I kind of want to carry that into being a captain. Randall, sir.
Yes, sir. So the kind of a touchy subject, but how would you handle like homeless that are infiltrating into this neighborhood?
Well, where in the neighborhood? Because that's a
And I don't want to overstep my boundary. And I saw
nope.
my emails. I want to be I never approach these guys. I know that's your guys' job and whatever, but we do notation pictures and you get the emails. But how do we go forward with that? Because it's kind of touchy. Because I know you guys got. So go ahead.
There are all kinds of different scenarios regarding the unhoused. I'll say this: it's not primarily like a police response thing, and you know, even though a lot of captains historically have taken on the role of being a traffic director for all city concerns, whether it's public safety related or not, there are other city departments that field these concerns, and they're the ones that do it. So here's my thing: is these plans that I put together, like for this neighborhood, I can't do all that if I'm too busy like taking ownership over all these concerns that should be addressed by other city departments. It's one of those. It's like that saying, you know, feed a man a fish, feed him for a day, you know, teach him to fish, feed him for a lifetime. So I'm really trying to not throw it back on the council office, but let the community know, hey, this is where you go for homeless concerns. This is where you go for code enforcement concerns. This is where you go for DOT concerns. Because if I play middleman and the request doesn't get answered, then all of a sudden you're coming back to me and I have to contact those different departments.
I see.
So for homeless, 311 ticket for homeless stuff, and it will likely go to BSJ because they handle the encampment cleanups and stuff like that. If there's a need for PD response, there's a process they go through to call us out. Now, if there's like a crime issue that is having to do with a homeless concern, I mean, like a legitimate crime issue, it can't just be like, I don't feel safe because there's homeless people there. Yeah, absolutely hit me up. If I kind of draw the line at parks, I don't want people camping out at the park. So that's a direct email to me, and that gets addressed right away.
Thank you. That's
So
all. That's
know,
basically what I'm, and also the ones, and I don't mean to, offend anybody, but the ones who kind of like what I call a meth rage. They're really nice people. Then when they take the meth or that drug, then they go screaming and hollering and scaring.
Well, that's a 911 call. If somebody's going nuts, it's a safety issue.
Good. Okay, I will.
911. You know,
and you still encourage us not to approach your. Kilmer said, "Don't approach these people." Just,
don't do that. Some people, you know, they go and take pictures and stuff. We really don't need to just give you a location.
Yeah.
It's fine, a description and a location. But parks, I will deal with that. But just general encampments, I can't arrest somebody for being homeless. So that shopping center is a separate issue. We're working through a plan right now for the shopping center. Yeah. I got to call the property manager tomorrow.
So I live down, you know, the fire station on Bernal. I live down at the end of that, right by the train tracks.
Okay.
A few times now, cars have come speeding down Bernal, done some donuts, and then speed off. I always think I should call it in. It's always 1 or 2 in the morning, but by the time anyone even picks up the phone, they're going to have taken off. Is there, I don't know what to do.
So I would still call, and we get those all the time. It's a reckless driving event, but even if either we don't respond or, like you said, they're going to be gone by the time we do respond. I mean, they'll usually broadcast it. And if there's an officer that happens to be in the area, well, cool, I'll go by. Oh, shoot, maybe I see him speeding by. Now I'm going to stop him. That's rare, but it can happen. We need the stat. I need the data. So the more you call it in at that spot, the better, because eventually someone's going to have the complaint of, hey, this is getting ridiculous over here. I want like a speed study or something like that. And that's more of a DOT thing. But if they could pull the calls for service, hey, there were 200 reckless driving calls for service over here in the last like 2 years. You know, clearly something's going on. It just goes to your argument, supports your argument, your guys' concern of wanting something done. But if nobody knows about it, the only way we can know about it, we go to the database and look at the data. If it's not there because nobody's calling in, we can't track it. So no matter what, just call it in. Any kind of crime, please call it in. All righty. I'll stick around if there's more questions.
Okay, sorry about that. So I wanted to check in. David, I know that you have a time constraint. Do you want to take 5 minutes to do a quick update? I think you had to leave at like 7:45.
Yes, Karen. I really
Right.
appreciate that. Thank you so much.
David is from Sylvia Arenas' office, correct?
Yes, I am. Awesome. Thank you, everybody. Like Karen said, my name is David. I'm a community relations aide from the Office of County Supervisor Sylvia Arenas. If you don't know about Supervisor Arenas, she represents District 1 on the County Board of Supervisors. And I know there's a lot of confusion between the city council districts and um, county districts. So District 1 encompasses the communities of Evergreen, Cambrian, South San Jose, San Martin, Morgan Hill, and Gilroy. So we are not only the largest geographical district at the county, but we are also one of the biggest. We can include 3 cities and a lot of different areas. In South County, we have a large agricultural land. In South San Jose, we have a lot of vibrant suburbs. And then in Evergreen, we have a lot of hills. So just want to first thank Greg and Karen for inviting me to today. Supervisor Arenas really believes in the power of community and recognizes you all not only in organizing, but also advocating for our shared community here in Santa Clara County. Today, I'll be providing a county update on the County Vector Control District, county efforts to address homelessness and the lack of affordable housing, and also the special election for county assessor and the impacts of federal cuts to the county's health and hospital system. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the not so comfortable news. So this past week, the Santa Clara County Vector Control District notified the community of the detection of an invasive mosquito in South Central San Jose near Foxworthy and Meridian Avenue. So this is right in our district. This detection means that the invasive mosquito is spreading into more neighborhoods. This mosquito is not native to California. And what the Vector Control District is really pushing for is residents to remove standing water like puddles or water in gardening buckets. That really prevents this invasive species from laying eggs. And I don't want to pull up a picture of a mosquito and just scare everybody, but it's a mosquito with a black and white stripe on their body and leg. So the Vector District right now is in the process of so this is actually going to be the 3rd detection in South San Jose. And what the Vector Control District does is they complete what is called a larvicide spraying treatment. These treatments are conducted in the early morning hours with Vector Control District trucks around 4 to 5 a.m. And the Vector District is also setting up traps across South San Jose to monitor detection. And you might also be seeing Vector Control District employees inspecting yards for mosquitoes and treating them. So your next question is probably what you can do, right? And like I said again, the Vector Control District is really advocating for residents to dump out any containers that are filled with water, clean them by scrubbing out the containers with hot soapy water or a diluted bleach solution. You can also report mosquitoes detection to this email that I'm going to drop into the chat. And you can also sign up for mosquito alerts, which I'm also dropping into the chat. And there's also a webpage with a FAQ on the larvicide spraying efforts that will be going on. So I think I'll stop there and move on to the next topic. I'm happy to take questions about that after. So one of the big topics that I kind of heard that was brought up to the captain earlier was housing and homelessness. And Santa Clara County is really the safety net provider for our region. And what we are doing is tackling homelessness at its root core. And that's really the lack of affordable housing in our county. So in 2016, you guys, the voters, approved the housing bond, Measure A. And this measure is really what is responsible for all of the affordable housing projects that have been built in the last almost 9 years. So through this measure, as of now, almost 7,000 people are now living in new affordable housing. And with the construction of additional housing sites, the county anticipates that another additional 7,000 unhoused people will be able to find housing. Recent survey data in the county has shown that in our county alone, there's 10,000 people who are considered unhoused living on our streets. And while progress to get those people into permanent housing has stagnated, it is happening. And Supervisor Arenas and the Board of Supervisors truly believes that the only way we can truly tackle homelessness is to address its core root, and that's really the lack of affordable housing in our region. I don't need to tell anyone here about the high cost of living. We all know, we deal with it every day. But really, affordable housing is the only way we're going to get out of this homelessness crisis. Just this past week on Tuesday, the county officially dedicated 2 new buildings that are affordable and supportive housing on Ray Street, Bellarmino Place, and also on Contra Costa Avenue and Alvarado Park. These buildings were constructed because the taxpayers, the voters, you guys believed in Measure A. You guys believed that we need affordable housing. And in just 3 years, the county has already housed more than 4,000 children alone and prevented thousands more of falling into homelessness. And I just want to end with an update that this year, the county and the city of San Jose and all of our community partners, we're going to actually develop a new 5-year community plan to end homelessness. And it really represents a critical moment to reflect on what homelessness prevention efforts have failed and which ones are working. Because at the end of the day, many of our vulnerable families are just one paycheck away from homelessness. And that's not really sustainable and not stable. As a region, we really have to commit to what works, solutions grounded in data, and not only focus on short-term solutions. So I just want to end with that before moving on to the special election for county assessor. So on July 6th, former county assessor Larry Stone resigned before his term ended, and he was our county assessor for nearly 30 years. And under the county charter, when there's a vacancy, the Board of Supervisors must take action and call for a special election to fill out the rest of the term. So right now, there is an interim assessor. His name is Greg Monteverde. He's been with the assessor's office for 35 years. But this come November, there will be a special election for a new county assessor. For those who don't know, the county assessor is responsible for valuing all real property in the county, including homes, commercial property, personal property, and the county assessor is really the one that determines property taxes, which is a major source of revenue for our school districts, our cities, and our county. So I can't talk about the candidates, but there are 3 candidates on the ballot. I'm going to move on to a topic that really the county is really focusing on right now, and that's really the local impact of federal funding cuts to our health and hospital system, and especially in Medi-Cal. So HR 1 was a budget bill that was signed into law by President Trump on July 4th. And this bill includes major cuts to Medicaid and food assistance. It not only puts at risk our healthcare system, but also food assistance for millions of Americans across the country. Medicaid provides healthcare access for 1 in 5 Americans and nearly half of all children in our country. So how does this affect the county? The county of Santa Clara, we receive about $3.5 billion in federal funding each year. And that funding is really the largest source of funding for our hospital system. Just this last fiscal year, the county received more than $2.3 billion in Medicaid funding from the federal government. And our county is really one of the largest healthcare providers, not only in the South Bay, but the entire state. Santa Clara County operates the 2nd largest public hospital system in California, and almost all of our funding comes from the federal government. And our public hospital system, it really serves everyone in our community, regardless of insurance status. We provide critical trauma and emergency care to all residents in their time of need. But in Santa Clara County alone, I just want to talk about a few data points. Nearly 500,000 of our residents here in the South Bay rely on Medi-Cal for access to health care. Over 130,000 residents receive food assistance through SNAP. And with the federal funding cuts, the county is anticipating that nearly 80,000 adults will lose healthcare coverage. And these are really grim facts, but I just wanted to really talk about the impacts on our county hospital system. I don't want to go too far deep into the elections because I can't really talk about that. But this November 4th, there will be a special election. And I just want to remind everyone that the deadline to register to vote is October 20th. Ballots will begin mailing on October 6th, and the deadline to vote is November 4th. And I can take questions on any of those. Awesome.
Hello, sir.
Hey.
Thank you. Hi. One thing that was kind of missing, and maybe you could steer me right. A lot of the homeless I see are drug addicted and appear to have mental issues, and doesn't fall within that, hard on their luck, typical scenario that you brought up there. So how do we deal with that?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, and so nice to meet you. So like I said earlier, the county is really the safety net provider of our region. So what we have at the county is we have two separate departments that are really focused on supporting those who are unhoused and those who are unhoused with mental issues. So what we have is the Office of Supportive Housing. There is a 24/7 phone number hotline that anyone can call at any time to receive information about available shelter options, about available programs that they can access. And then we also have the Behavioral Health Services Department. And that's really the department that is responsible for getting unhoused folks with mental issues connected to services and programs. I can definitely share more information with the Neighborhood Association, but the county really believes on this continuum of care, and it's really getting people housed, but also getting them connected to our services and programs. And I can tell you, just yesterday, Supervisor Rennes attended a new the ribbon cutting ceremony of a new clinic in Gilroy. And I know this is probably not anywhere close to South San Jose, but the opening of the clinic, it really represents a step in a new direction that the county is taking. We are opening up new outpatient clinics to provide substance abuse and treatment options to anyone that needs it. And that's really a two-pronged approach that the county is really taking. Number one, getting people to connect to our safety net services, getting people to talk to a counselor, getting people picked up off the streets. And I know that Supervisor Rennes really understands the dire need of our homelessness crisis, but we must have programs and services for people who are mentally challenged, who are dealing with a lot of drug abuse issues. And that's really what the county is doing. And I'm happy to connect you guys with the Office of Supportive Housing. I'm happy to get you guys information about our Behavioral Health Services Department.
Let me mention something real quick. I'm sorry. How do you get these people to contact you? They're running around. They're not going to contact you. So how do you get them into these services? That's
no,
opinion.
that's a great question as well. So what we have here at the county is we contract with our community health based providers, and we have a program called the Trust Program. And this is literally a mobile van that goes out into the community at 24/7. You can call this number anytime. And what they do is anyone that's having a mental health episode, anyone that is, I guess what millennials would say, spazzing out, you can always call this hotline and a team will be sent immediately. And I can drop that hotline right in the chat as well.
Thank you.
Anything else, Alex? I mean, David? I mean,
yeah,
David.
yeah. Okay. I know that
looking at-
was, yeah, no worries. I know that was like a lot of information and it wasn't very fun. So I always got to end with something good. So this fall is going to be the 10-year anniversary of Marshall Cotto Park. It's going to represent 10 years since the county acquired Marshall Cotto Park. Marshall Cotto Park is very interesting because they have a deed saying that that land can never be developed. It must be for agricultural and educational purposes. So on Saturday, October 11th, Supervisor Rennes, in partnership with the County Parks Department, is going to host the Fall Family Festival. This is a really big event. We get almost 20,000 people to Marshall Cottle Park every year. And we always run out of pumpkins. So if you want to get a pumpkin, please arrive early. Last year they put me on pumpkin duty, and there was people running out with like 5 different pumpkins. I can't stop anyone from taking an extra pumpkin, but I can encourage people to come early to get one. But please come out. This is a free event. We're going to have a lot of local arts and crafts activities. We're going to have agricultural workshops. We're going to show people how to pot their plants. I probably need to go to that workshop because I've had so many plants die on me already. So I need to learn how to irrigate better. But we're going to have food trucks, exhibitors, live music, Saturday, October 11th, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. So thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you. Oh, could you put the phone number in the chat?
Yes, let me do that right away.
Okay, moving along, I think we're going to go to Alex next. And I'm sorry for I know, I was like, that's why exactly why I changed the order, because I'm like, he's stuck here. So yeah.
Is there a reason for Alex to go?
Oh, I can't hear you. Are you?
Do you have any time constraints, Alex? They wanted to do LPNA business a little bit before you. Or
I'm good.
okay.
That's okay. Yeah.
Where's the camera? Right there. Oh, there. Okay. Right, so I'm here to talk about LPNA business, and the first piece of business is that the annual election of officers for LPNA is the process starts basically today, where we announce that nominations are open. Can you advance it a couple? One more. There we go. So nominations are open officially now. The election will actually take place at our next meeting in December. Anybody can nominate themselves by sending an email to any LPNA officer, for instance, president@lospasejosneighbors.com or vice president@lospasejosneighbors.com. And according to our bylaws, the nominations close 30 days before the election. Normally, we would give you a reference to our website to look at. You can see the bylaws and you can see the roles of the officers and what they do and stuff. But the website's a little iffy right now. We were having some stability issues with the website. So what we're going to do is we're going to send out an email to the LPNA list with the information that I would have sent you to look up. To describe what the offices are and what their duties are, and what the current officers are in those offices, and what aspects of the LPNA life each one of them focuses on. So so if you're on our email list, you'll see an email in the next few days. Okay, treasurer's report. Oh, this is fun. I'm not going to read the numbers. So our fiscal year ended in June, and we had a little more income than we've had in some other years. We got an unusual grant. We got a $1,000. We normally get a Beautify SJ grant, and it's been $5,000 a year for several years. We also got a $1,000 grant from District 10, and the nice thing about that was it doesn't have any strings attached. The Beautify SJ grant, you have to propose a project, and then you can only spend the money on that project. So, and there are a lot of things that you can't buy with Beautify SJ money. For instance, you can't buy tools. So they'll pay to plant a garden, but you can't buy a shovel. and get paid for that. Because I guess they figure the tools are fungible. You could take it home and use it in your own yard. So, so we had a fair bit of money last year. Expenses were a little lower than the income, so our cash on hand at the end of the year was pretty good, at $2,500. We got the new grant awarded of $5,000. We've only received 3,200 of it though, because they've added more rules to. In order to get the money, you have to get a written permission from whoever has jurisdiction over the land you're going to do it on, and then you have to have an exact plan of where you're going to do the event and who you would need to get permission from. So we don't have all the money yet, but the $2,500 out of, so basically half of the $5,000 grant went toward National Night Out. Oh, next slide is our National Night Out in 2022 was an enormous success. We had record attendance, over 750, almost 800, an increase of probably a little more than 100 people over last year. And last year was an increase of 150 over the year before that. So the attendance has really been climbing, and people noticed that the crowd was more significant this year. It was great. There's a picture of Lieutenant Kilmer passing out pizza. We had elected officials and coming. There's Mayor Mahan and Sylvia Arenas came here and actually danced to the band with Greg. And you can see the crowd of people. The size comes with some drawbacks, however, in that we had to buy more pizza, we had to buy more ice cream, and so about $700 of expenses was not covered by the grant and the sponsor revenue and the donations in the jar. So it was a good thing that we had extra money at the end of last year, because we were able to do this. So we have some work to do to figure out ongoing. Is there a way that we can manage the finances more realistically? We also start to get other issues of we just couldn't hand out pizza fast enough. So we've got some ideas, and Gary, the manager at 5 Star Pizza, has some ideas to help us. He thinks we should just get more pizza at the moment we start, at the hour we start with a bigger bunch of pizza, so that we don't find ourselves running out. So we've got some plans to there. So we have some. So it's good news. It's great news that we're so successful and so popular, and our wonderful band is a big part of that. But it comes with some issues. Park update. We continue to care for the 10 trees we planted in December of 2022. And we probably have another summer that we need to get through. They're not fully established yet, so we probably have to water trees for another summer. The native garden is in its late summer status, which is, the gardens in this area start to look a little tired come the end of August. But one plant there, the California fuchsia, blooms from August to October with bright orange flowers. It can be a little bit invasive. There's a way, what you have to do with it is, before those turn into little flyaway seeds, you need to cut the whole thing down to the ground, and then next spring, all new growth will come. And it attracts hummingbirds tremendously. The hummingbirds absolutely adore that plant. I'm pleased to announce that we finished a program of fixing the drip irrigation, so we are not going to have to water with hoses anymore for a while. We have a project in our new grant that goes through March to plant a rose garden. We're just getting going on that. Jen Holst has volunteered or been volunteered to lead that project, and we have to work with the park because we need some things from the park to make the rose garden work. A big one is they have to fix some things with the irrigation that we would connect the rose garden irrigation to. we're a little concerned about budget constraints. So we're trying to, we have some work to do to negotiate and figure out how we scale the project and what we can realistically do with the resources that the park has available in these days of budget issues. Oh, the place that we'd like that we've thought of, and it's been thought of for a while, we've been wanting to do something with it, is the circle that's right in front of the tennis courts. So there's a circle with this funky wooden structure. And Jen Holst actually did some research and found out that the meaning of that structure, and it was intended to be, I don't think it's complete anymore. I think there's some pieces of it that are missing, but it was intended to be a gateway and has something to do with the indigenous people in the area. So I need to get her to either write something up or give me some resources, because I'd like to learn more about that. And then just events in October, we're going to have our autumn litter harvest. We're going to work around the park, in the park, and along the major roads where trash accumulates in Bernal Road, Santa Teresa Boulevard, etc. And we're looking for volunteers to come, and it happens in the morning. And we'll be sending out more notices with more information on that. People meet in the park, get a trash bag and a stick for picking stuff up, and etc. And then on December 6th, Saturday, we have our Santa holiday event again. And that we do that in cooperation with the Homeowners Association, Las Pasadas Homeowners Association, which we are not affiliated with, but we're very friendly with. And so we provide Santa, and they provide the venue, the facilities, etc., to run this event. And it's great fun for kids and wannabe kids. And that's it.
We ready for some of these events that you're looking for volunteers, or like the autumn one? Do you reach out to the local schools and ask? I'd be willing. I run our PTA at this particular school, and I'd be willing to put that in our parent squares, looking for something to do in the neighborhood. We have XYZ.
Consistent.
Yeah, I'd be willing to help with that. Getting the message out to our parents here. Yeah. My name's Julie Rodriguez. And I believe that Gabby here might be able to do it for Mark Murphy, possibly, because I know you do the parent squares. Is your name Gabby? Yes.
Okay. So I think Alex is, we're ready for you to go ahead and do an update. Alex is with the District 10 Council Office. Go ahead, Alex.
Awesome. Thank you. Good to see you all this evening. My name is Alex Dersh. I'm Community Relations Coordinator for Councilmember George Casey with District 10. I'm here to provide a little update of some news from our office and from the city government as a whole. So I'll start off. I will start off, though, with a few items that we were told to touch specifically on regarding the project at 5670 Camden Avenue, which is, of course, the other part of the district off Blossom Hill, otherwise known as the Cinnabar Project. We had some questions asking for an update about that. There was a hearing tonight about transportation impacts with the school district and the developer. It continues to move forward. The project, as you may know, is 108 proposed units, 22 of which are low-income affordable. And it's a builder's remedy project, which severely limits the city's ability to block it. And the environmental impact review period as well or public comment period for the environmental review ends on September 30th. We also got a few questions about the roof for our EIH. We asked if the expansion was still moving forward. It is, but the timeline's not clear, and we don't have a new update on that. We had a question regarding partnership or regarding issues related to the Santa Teresa Village Shopping Center. Of course, the captain mentioned a lot about what they're doing and touched a little bit upon that. So I would just say simply that we work with SJPD and the business and property owners to continue to keep an eye on things at that center. And as always, you all are the eyes and ears of the district and the community and of the city, ultimately. So whenever there's something that happens or is concerning, we are always here to listen to you and pass that along to the folks at the city, at the police department, or otherwise who can do something about that. And once it's on our radar, as the captain mentioned, what's the right analogy for it? When we hear more about a particular place, it becomes a bit of a hot spot, and then it rises to the level of a higher concern and priority for the resources that the city does have to respond to. There's a couple kind of miscellaneous things that I want to touch upon, but that I thought that we had collected that would be useful to share with you. One is related to neighborhood activation and engagement. You've probably seen from our office a lot online or also in person about how much emphasis we're putting on emergency preparedness. And we're really encouraging people to stay prepared, stay up to date, connect with all the resources available from our office and others about how to be prepared if disaster strikes, to take care of yourself, your family, and your neighbors. And specifically, we encourage people to sign up to get trained for the community emergency response teams, which enables you to learn skills that will prepare you to respond in a disaster for exactly that, of working together with other neighbors as volunteers to protect yourself and your family, and then protecting your neighbors as well. And Wyman, who's here as well virtually, has been partnering with us a lot on that topic. And he's also been talking with us a lot about how we'd like to be expanding the use of radios into neighborhoods in the Santa Teresa area. We know of the Almaden Valley. There's a pretty strong contingent of folks that have radios that are ready to communicate with each other if a disaster strikes and it takes down certain communication infrastructure. We're not able to contact each other in any other way. And so our office is really concerned from the aspect of emergency preparedness that more people in the neighborhoods have these radios so that they can contact each other and contact emergency services to get the help they need if the worst happens. Related to that too, we are planning to work with the city and emergency responders to conduct an earthquake simulation in the near future. So stay tuned from our office about that and what that will look like as an example of how to prepare folks for ultimately the inevitable. Not to be scary, but we always hear about the risks associated with that. There's also on a different topic, the Library and Education Commission currently has a vacancy for a District 10 resident. So if you or someone you know is interested in serving your community by providing oversight and input regarding library and education policy in the city, please contact our office and we'll be happy to send you the details so you can consider applying. The deadline to apply is 11:59 p.m. on September 30th. And I can also put the link in the chat. I'll put a few links in the chat after I'm done speaking about some things I've talked about that you can check out too. We also were asked if there was anything new to share about homelessness response and policy from the city. I'm sure you've heard news about progress happening at Columbus Park and clearing that out. And related to the discussions in the city budget that was passed in June, the city is moving towards an approach where we're looking at outreach and enforcement and pairing those so that we can better clear areas, get people into the housing that they need to be in and off the streets. We're ramping up our interim housing programs, shelters, another way of putting it as well, to make sure that there's space to put people so that people can go to get the services that they need, and so they are no longer suffering on the streets. Similarly as well, you may have heard of what's been dubbed Olive Program, which is a program of the city has to do more targeted enforcement of recreational vehicles or oversized vehicles. And there have been a few sites in this part of San Jose that have seen that implemented. The city is gonna be continuing that with new sites in the next year, and then also expanding it to make sure that, because the program as it's currently structured only focuses on high priority, high concentration areas, but we know that there's RVs that are causing impacts to the neighborhood and issues that aren't necessarily in large congregations. And so they're going to be expanding that to make sure that we're also responding to RVs that are not in large congregations, but are just in smaller areas, but are still presenting issues. And just a couple community things. I know there have been a few community events mentioned already. And I'm glad to hear about the autumn litter harvest. No liver harvesting, just litter harvesting plans for this neighborhood too. So I really like that part. I'm sure you all remember in April, the Great American Litter Pickup. So this autumn version I think is great. There's going to be, of course, more leaves perhaps to pick up from the ground, but it should be good. There's also at the Playa del Rey Park, of course not in this part of the district, but a bit closer to the 87 entrance. There is going to be a Sunday series of a community day to clean up the park and beautify it. And that's going to be happening, let me see here. I'll put the link in the chat. I believe I want to say October 5th. October 5th is a cleanup day at Playa del Rey Park. And then an event that our office is proud to be partnering with District 9 and District 1 on is the Disability Awareness Day. This big event is an annual event that's held at City Hall that celebrates and provides resources to people and families of people with disabilities and celebrating inclusion for people of all kinds of abilities. That's going to be at City Hall on October 30th. We will continue to share more information about when and where that is from our office, but we're really excited about it. And so we encourage you, regardless of your connection to folks with disabilities, to show up, because it's really important for the community to know that there's resources out there for everybody and for all of our neighbors. That's all I have to share right now. Of course, I'm open to any questions. And like I said, I'll put in the chat different links of items that I've mentioned, but thank you.
Thank you, Alex. That was a great update. Any questions? Okay. Thank you so much for joining us and for your patience. Sorry,
Thank you.
Took a little longer than anticipated.
No problem. I'll just put those links in and just say goodnight, but thank you all.
Thank you. So I think we're on to Casey. I know you've been very patient and we appreciate your patience. So this is Casey Vess of the Crime Prevention Unit, and he's going to do a presentation on Neighborhood Watch program and just other ways we can keep the neighborhood safe.